This week, three major events happened at the same time, each of which deserves its own separate review. First, the US-Iran deal is closer than ever, and this could crash oil prices, lower inflation, and completely change expectations for the Fed's interest rate. Second, SpaceX went public, the largest IPO in history. Elon Musk became the first trillionaire. But there's a catch, and I'll tell you about it. Third, the ECB raised its rate for the first time in 3 years. I'll be straight with you. This is a mistake that could end up in textbooks. By your request in the comments, today we're looking at BIT and JTO. But first, let's get to the news. Let me start with the main point. The US and Iran are close to a framework agreement on a ceasefire. Trump says the deal could be signed in the coming days, maybe even today. What's in the draft memorandum? First, the opening of the Strait of Hormuz for commercial ships. Let me remind you, this is the artery through which 1/5 of all the oil traded in the world passes. Second, the lifting of the US naval blockade of Iranian ports. Third, the temporary lifting of oil sanctions and the unfreezing of about $25 billion in Iranian assets. Fourth, the nuclear component. Iran commits not to produce or acquire nuclear weapons. The mechanism regarding highly enriched uranium will be discussed over the next 60 days. But there's an important point here. Iranian officials are demanding an additional review of the text. The deal has not been finalized yet. Previous attempts have fallen through. Lebanon and Hezbollah remained unresolved factors. In other words, the market is already pricing in a positive scenario, but the deal isn't finalized yet. Imagine you've agreed on a big purchase. You've already mentally spent the money, but the seller wants to double check the paperwork one more time. Most likely, the deal will go through, but there's still a risk it could fall apart. That's exactly where the market is right now. If the deal goes through, we'll see oil drop below 80, just like I mentioned earlier in my reviews. Inflation expectations are going down, and the Fed gets more room to maneuver. The stock market gets extra fuel for a rally, and basically we're set for a final burst of super euphoria. If the deal falls through, we go back to the risk of supply disruptions, the risk premium returns to oil, and the Fed stays in a hawkish stance. This is a scenario-based approach. There are two options, and you have to be ready for each one. Now, here's an event that's sure to make it into the history books. On Friday, SpaceX held the largest IPO in history. The offering price was $135 per share. 555.5 million shares were sold, raising $75 billion. The company's valuation was about $1.77 trillion. On the first day of trading, the shares opened at $150 and rose by more than 20%. SpaceX's valuation exceeded $2 trillion, making the company the sixth largest by market cap in the US. Elon Musk became the first trillionaire in history, but as always, there are some nuances. The xStocks platform, which offers tokenized access to IPOs, tried to enable retail investors to participate through its SPCXX product. Bybit and BitGet promoted this as tokenized SpaceX shares. What actually happened? xStocks was unable to acquire a sufficient number of underlying SpaceX shares. Bybit and BitGet did not receive the allocation they expected. They started refunding users' money. This isn't a failure of the IPO itself, it's a failure of tokenized access. And here's why that's important. Imagine you reserved a table at a restaurant through an app. The app confirmed it, you showed up, but there was no table. You got your money back, but it still left a bad taste in your mouth. For the crypto sector, this is a moment of reputational risk. Tokenized stocks promise to democratize access to major offerings. But the very first real test showed the model doesn't work. There's no allocation, and after something like this, trust in one-to-one backed tokenized securities clearly drops. Now, let's talk about the market as a whole. An IPO of this scale is a liquidity drain. $75 billion left the market for SpaceX shares. At the same time, the very fact of the offering is a super bullish signal. Artificial intelligence and space narratives have received real validation. Retail demand is enormous. I expect that when SpaceX is included in the Nasdaq and S&P 500 indexes, we'll see that very big gap I mentioned because the S&P 500 indexes are calculated based on market capitalization. And just imagine if a giant of that size is added to the index, I think we'll easily see 500 to 600 points. This will trigger that very final euphoria and attract all the skeptics and doubters. But don't forget that major IPOs very often mark the peaks of market optimism. This isn't a prediction, it's a historical fact. Record-breaking IPOs often precede market crashes. Now, let's take a look at the European Central Bank. For the first time in 3 years, the ECB has raised its key rates by 25 basis points. The deposit rate is now up to 2.25%. The main refinancing operations rate is up to 2.4%. The marginal lending rate is up to 2.65%. The decision takes effect on June 17. The reason given by the regulator, the war in the Middle East, is creating inflationary pressure. I'll be blunt, this is a mistake. And here's why. Inflation is a lagging indicator. It doesn't rise when the problem first appears, but when it's already present in the economy. Raising the rate when the economy is slowing down is like trying to put out a fire that's almost out by pouring gasoline on it. Look at 2008. Look at 2001. In both cases, central banks raised rates right before a recession. They looked at inflation and said, we need to cool things down. But at that moment, the economy was already declining. GDP growth in the Eurozone is close to zero, consumer confidence is at its lowest, industry is stagnating, and yet at this moment, they are still raising the rate. I wouldn't be surprised if this eventually ends up in textbooks as an example of how not to do things. But as I mentioned earlier in one of my videos, this industry never learns from its mistakes. Raising the interest rate is a tool for an overheated economy, for a situation where demand exceeds supply, but it's definitely not for an economy that's being strangled by an external shock. The ECB says it will make decisions meeting by meeting and that there might be a pause at the July meetings, but the damage has already been done. The risk of a crisis in Europe is higher today than it was yesterday. What does this mean for the markets? The channels of influence, the euro, the dollar, European bonds, the banking sector and mortgages, and through the global cost of capital. This could put pressure on all growth assets, including crypto. It's just basic math. What does all this mean as a whole? Let's break it down. In short, the Iran deal, de-escalation, oil goes down, inflation goes down, the Fed eases, and risk assets go up. SpaceX IPO. Liquidity flows into a single stock, but the growth narrative gets stronger. The indexes pull everything up with them. Euphoria kicks in. The ECB tightens policy in a weak economy. There's a risk of stagflation and pressure on European assets. But for dollar-denominated assets, this could actually be positive. Now let's move on to the charts. Let's start with Bitcoin. Take a look. The forecast, the scenario played out perfectly. Let me remind you, I'm currently in a trade on the futures market at the pile driver. And in this trade, I'm on spot. Yesterday in my Telegram channel, the link is in the description, I wrote that I moved my stop to around 59,000. Let me explain my thought process now. I kept the same dollar risk, but my spot position is now almost 3 times bigger. There were a lot of questions in the comments yesterday, so I'll explain what I mean. I'll need this chart. I want to point out right away that on the 11th, I posted these points in my Telegram channel to make things clearer. These posts aren't going anywhere. Let me explain. I want to see the close of this monthly candle, specifically this monthly candle. People have asked me in the comments, why this one and not the next one? Because if this candle closes, the masses will see the whole story, that we've stopped the decline. This support right here stopped the fall. If the monthly candle closes somewhere below 66, if the month closes in this area and we're nearby, the masses will start buying up this support. In that case, I'll have to admit that the idea of a sugar rush in cryptocurrency is failing. I'll consider any growth as manipulation, just like with altcoins, and I expect the price to drop below 50,000. This situation will trigger an even bigger spiral, as I wrote in my Telegram channel, and we'll see very low prices. Those who wanted to buy Bitcoin at 30 or 10,000 will have that opportunity, but I think they'll regret making that purchase later on. But that's not my base scenario. My base scenario is that if the sugar rush and the capital rotation I'm talking about happen this month, we should close with a green candle. So I expect that we'll see a sharp V-shaped move upward. That same area around 93,000 is where I'll be building up my large positions. At this moment, in this situation, this low should be protected. I've set my stop below 59,000. I believe that if we're going to grow, we need to do it from these levels. We should start moving upward from here. We're already almost halfway through the month, so by the end of the month, I want us to have completely eaten up this whole drop and close around 74. That's my ideal scenario. In that case, we should keep moving further upward. If that doesn't happen and the month closes below 66,000 in this area at the support I'm showing, then I'll close my position and say that any growth from there I'll consider purely as manipulation. I won't mention the all-time high anymore because those who want to buy in this area will see that this support is holding. They'll see that this support is giving some kind of reaction, so they'll be buying. After any return to this zone, we'll see the price much lower. My scenario remains the same as before. At the moment, I have a futures position and a spot position. When it reaches here, I'll add more to my position at 74. My stop is set in this area. If the price keeps rising, I'll move my stop to break even because when it gets to these levels, it'll be just like when I move my stop to 69,000. There'll be a lot of people wanting to buy here and the price will crash lower. Look, when the price stopped me out at break even at 69,000, we just dropped straight down. For the coming week, I want to see the upward movement continue. This could mean forming, say, a new resistance here and then continuing to move up. This week, on Wednesday, we have the Fed meeting, so I want to see the movement continue. If we're supposed to go up, we need to keep moving higher. So it's actually pretty simple here. Could I get stopped out? Yes, I could. I'm willing to take that risk. The risk for me is standard. I'm ready to take it, but I wouldn't want to see that happen. It would start to go against the scenario. Basically, the longer we stay below 66,000 here, the worse it looks for the growth scenario. Ethereum. At this stage, I prefer to stay on the sidelines. We're slowly forming a bottom under the resistance. The masses see it. Those who missed a short on Ethereum, for example, are feeling a bit of FOMO. For myself, I want to look for trades on Ethereum after the price comes into this area and gives a reaction. That's where I'll be looking for an entry coin. I'll say that this is where the bottom for Ethereum has formed. It's the same story with Solana. For any interactions with Solana, I want us to come here, see a reaction, and then the bottom will be formed there. Nasdaq. I like that after this correction, we're already closing in the premium zone. I understand that stop orders are starting to pile up right here. Now the nearest target, maybe we'll even open with a gap, just to take out the stop orders of those who traded this swing. Those who traded the resistance here, sold, and placed their stops here. Maybe we'll take them out. I like to see something like this. The euro at this point. Look, we have support and we have resistance, which for now isn't favorable for people. Either you have to wait, it came here, gave a reaction, and now stop orders will pile up here. In that case, the movement will be upward. But my scenario assumes that we'll go lower. But I would consider the scenario of a possible move down because those who see the support are placing their limit orders here. Long positions on the euro are only worth considering in this area after we see some kind of manipulation here. Gold is slowly forming a bottom for us. Again, there is some support that could attract buyers if we return to these levels. It will drop even lower for us. For any long scenarios, I would look for a return to this area. Manipulation, absorption, then an upward move. At this stage, look, we've broken some kind of local structure on the lower time frame. If we return to these levels, we'll crash down here. Now, regarding your requests, to me, this is a dead asset. Look, we've drawn support here for people, which is where they come in. We give people plenty of opportunities to enter it. As for any long-term plays in this whole dip, I wouldn't consider them any earlier than right here. So until we're trading in this area, I see any growth as manipulation. I can assume that here, this could happen, like we might move in this direction. We'll potentially shake out buyers, force some to break even, maybe some will get stopped out, and give an opportunity to enter a short position. Stop orders are being placed here, stops are appearing in this area. But still, I would consider this growth as potential manipulation. If we don't come back here, we'll start consolidating in this area. These are the two scenarios I see for this coin. It's that. The Bitcoin. Wow, that's beautiful. Let's break it down. I'm sure that if we had looked at this asset earlier, I might have called it dead. Let's break down what happened here. Look, we have support here and we get a reaction from it. This reaction isn't enough to attract more sellers. We get a reaction. So we don't even enter any premium zone during this whole movement. Look, we don't enter the premium. The price comes up during this rise. I assume that some buyers could have gotten stuck there, let's say. Then the price drops down, we go into the discount zone, and again, after we get a reaction from this area, we don't give a chance for a second entry. It's a manipulation, so it would probably look good on the weekly chart, right? This is a manipulation. We don't return to that support level that the masses would notice and where they'd want to buy. Again, the price drops down, meaning they've drawn support here for themselves. The price reacts and we don't return to that support. In other words, we don't give a chance to buy. Yeah, someone could have bought in for just a tiny amount, just a little bit, this whole story. After this growth, we don't give people the chance to buy in again without going back to a discount. At this stage, I'd say, to me, this coin looks pretty risky because we're not shaking out. Even those who got in with small amounts, we're not even shaking them out. Watch closely. Here, people are piling in, most likely trying to short this move since it's a new all-time high. I wouldn't be surprised if this coin makes a move like this next. I'd only consider it after we move up into this area. I think that's when you could go long on it. This is the move you should be interested in. But if we drop down here, consolidate, react, and drop again, stops will start piling up here. If we come down here and this whole big move, you'll also see support here. Consolidation here will trigger a move and a shakeout. There will probably be some news coming out then. A hacker hacked something else, Jeff. Something like that. The coin is interesting. You can, for example, if you're willing to take the risk, go for it. That's the kind of buy we're talking about. So you set your stop in the area where the masses will be acting out of greed in this move. A more well-reasoned trade would look like this, aiming for a new all-time high. People aren't being given the chance to buy into this whole story. It just keeps going up. So here you can see that a liquidity provider has appeared. But now, here's an important point. More people are trying to short here and are placing their stops higher, and the liquidity provider is buying up those trades. Or maybe right here, he unloaded on them. A large number of buy orders have accumulated here, and accordingly, if the price drops and gives them a chance, he'll sell to them, distribute his assets, and after this manipulation, that's it. The asset will buy. See you on Telegram and during live streams.